Hello, I'm Kaiser and welcome to Moose Reads. Before I get started, I want to say that the opinions that I give here are my own opinions. They are extremely subjective. If I dislike a book, it is not a reflection on the author, and it is not a reflection on people who do like it. Different people have different tastes, and that's okay. Today, I will be reviewing Tiamat's Wrath by James S.A. Corey. This is the 8th book in the Expanse. It is a sci-fi novel. The description says, 1,300 gates have opened to solar systems around the galaxy, but as humanity builds its interstellar empire in the alien ruins, the mysteries and threats grow deeper. In the dead systems where gates lead to stranger things than alien planets, Elvi Okoye begins a desperate search to discover the nature of a genocide that happened before the first human beings existed, and to find weapons to fight a war against forces at the edge of the imaginable. But the price of that knowledge may be higher than she can pay. At the heart of the Empire, Teresa Duarte prepares to take on the burden of her father's godlike ambition. The sociopathic scientist, Paolo Cortazar, and the Mephistophelian prisoner, James Holden, are only two of the dangers in a palace thick with intrigue. But Teresa has a mind of her own, and secrets even her father, the Emperor, doesn't guess. And throughout the wide human empire, the scattered crew of the Rocinante fights a brave rearguard action against Duarte's authoritarian regime. Memory of the old order falls away, and a future under Laconia's eternal rule, and with it, a battle that humanity can only lose, seems more and more certain. Because against the terrors that lie between worlds, courage and ambition will not be enough. 5 stars. This one is intense. There is so much happening in this one that I never wanted to put it down. Every moment is just wondering what horrible thing will go wrong next. We time skip again, but only 8 years this time, so it's not as jarring. The Laconian Empire has had time to settle in, Holden has spent nearly a decade away from his crew playing the dancing bear, the underground is still plugging along with Naomi as its second in command. Things are absolute shit. Did I ask how much worse things could get at the end of my last review? Obviously, I already knew the answer. I'm posting this video 2 months after I read it, but the answer is so much worse. Duarte, megalomaniac and current ruler of the universe, got his first glimpse of the Null Monsters in the last book, and then, because he captured Holden, Holden was kind enough to tell him just how existential this particular threat is. Duarte's reaction? He wants to pick a fight. After all, he can control all of humanity, except the parts he can't. Why shouldn't he be able to control the aliens that killed the aliens that humanity is desperately trying to catch up to? Honestly, his poking the bear goes a lot better than I would have expected in this book, but it's still not great. It also relies very heavily on something that annoys me probably more than it should, that is, the prisoner's dilemma. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a game model describing the possibilities inherent in a situation where two parties can either cooperate or betray each other. I'm going to go into it a lot more in the spoilers, but that's spoilers. If you're not familiar with it, enjoy your blissful ignorance, or look it up. The point is, I hate the prisoner's dilemma, so it really says something that it's a major element of this book, and I still say it's my favorite. Honestly, there's very little in this book that I would comfortably say isn't spoilers, so we'll just move on. If you don't like spoilers, now is the time to pause or close the video. For everyone else, let's talk details. Ava Sarala is dead, which annoys me, but I have to concede this one. I'm pretty sure she was old when all this started, and that was 40 or 50 years ago now. Rubbing salt in the wound, however, Ava Sarala, heroic leader of Earth, both before and after its darkest days, and lover of humanity, in a grumpy way, is being buried on fucking Laconia, because she belongs to everyone, and everyone belongs to Laconia, so it's only proper. I hate it. Amos is also dead. How? Who knows? Not really. We are told at some point that he was sent on a mission on Laconia, and then missed all of his pickup windows, so he's presumed dead. I was pretty sure that no one would be stupid enough to kill a major character between books, giving Ava Sarala a pass, since that's not really an unexpected death. At any rate, I figured as soon as they said it that they were wrong. Sure enough, I think in the very next chapter, Teresa mentions her secret cave buddy, Timmy. Timmy being the name Amos went by when he was a kid, I was confident it was one and the same. And that was confirmed later when Teresa sneaks out for a visit. Thank goodness. I'd hate it if any of the crew died. In the meantime, Duarte, genius that he is, has been attempting to make himself immortal by having one of his pet monsters, scientists, Dr. Cortazar, manipulate the protomolecule. I don't remember if we learned that in the last book or not, but it's front and center now. His reason for this is that he's created an empire to make the universe the best it can be, but empires crumble under bad leadership. So if he can just always be the leader, everything will be great. He's certainly gotten weirder, but he's still mostly human. It's early days, though. He will get worse. In the last book, when Laconia fired its superweapon in Sol System, everyone there experienced a cognitive blackout for several minutes. In this book, as part of his poke the bear strategy, Duarte makes that happen for everyone. The working theory is that this is the trick the Null Beasts used to kill the other aliens back in the day, and now that they're pissed at humans, they're giving it another go. Fortunately, humans being rather different than the aliens whose technology they've co-opted, it doesn't have the same effect. Unfortunately, our fearless leader is less human than most people, so instead of blacking out for a few minutes, he becomes non-responsive. Whoops. Meanwhile, Cortazar also wants to be a god, and isn't all that bothered by the disastrous results he's gotten so far, so he wants to kill Duarte's daughter for science. Apparently, Holden has been encouraging this bloodlust in the hopes that Duarte will get wind of it and kill Cortazar, leaving Elvie head scientist in charge. Not a great plan, but he's a prisoner, so there's not a lot to work with. This does, surprisingly, work exactly as intended. While being more or less oblivious to everything, Duarte wakes up just enough to scatter Cortazar like pollen. Score one for the good guys, I guess. I think it was at this point, however, where the higher-ups on Laconia were sent into a panic, and someone went to pick up Teresa immediately. Because, obviously, there's a tracking device implanted in her, it's a dictatorship, and she's the heir apparent. She's visiting Timmy at the time, so Amos is dead. Wait, what? No. He can't go out like that, shot by some throwaway character all alone. No, what? Good news. It turns out the planet has a collection of friendly drones that like to fix things. They like to fix everything. That thing that was working doesn't work anymore, they'll fix it, even if it's a person. So Amos is fine. A little gray, kind of creepy, apparently immortal, but fine. This is the point where I had to ask what the fuck was wrong with Duarte. He's supposed to be a genius, but he seems to have failed a basic logic check. He's the ruler of a planet that brings people back from the dead, seemingly the same mentally as they were before. Once they've been fixed, they also stop aging. He's known this for pretty much his entire reign. I mean, it's a terrible idea, but so is immortality via completely untested biological experiments. At least there's some precedent for the repaired immortality. So why didn't he just... You know what? Never mind. But before all of that goes horribly sideways, Elvie is caught up poking the bear, so let's talk about that. Here begins the prisoner's dilemma rant, so if you're not interested, you might as well click off. The prisoner's dilemma, as presented in this book, goes as follows. Two people are given the choice to either cooperate or betray each other. If they both cooperate, they each get 2 points. If they both betray each other, they each get 1 point. If one of them betrays while the other cooperates, the betrayer gets 3 points while the cooperator gets 0. Neither party can communicate with the other. This is technically reversed from the traditional prisoner's dilemma, wherein the results are presented as consequences rather than rewards. It's possible the book actually uses different numbers, I don't remember and can't check, but it comes down to the same thing, so if I'm slightly off, bear with me. The main point is that getting betrayed is worse than both players betraying, is worse than both cooperating, is worse than screwing over your partner. In a single iteration of the game, it is therefore always best to betray your partner. If they also betray you, you still get 1 point, but if they cooperate, you get 3. On the other hand, if you cooperate, you may gain 2 points, but you may gain none. The fact that it is best to betray your partner annoys the shit out of me. I don't like any theory that states that cooperation is a bad choice. Not that it matters, because outside of artificial game conditions, the prisoner's dilemma is never played just once. In a situation where the number of iterations is unknown, cooperation becomes the better strategy because you both gain more from cooperating twice than either of you could gain by screwing each other over. Betraying your opponent means that they have no reason to trust you and are therefore more likely to betray you in the next round. Thus, you will either be locked in single-point gains or switching back and forth between betraying and being betrayed. Setting aside my personal beef with the dilemma, it is still unbelievably stupid that Duarte is basing his entire strategy around it. For starters, the numbers don't hold up outside the artificial conditions of the game. When null beasts betray, or more accurately in this situation, attack, while humans hold peace, humans don't stay at 0 points, and null beasts don't gain 3. Humans lose however many people die in the attack, and what the null beasts might gain is completely unknown. When null beasts and humans both attack, there is no guarantee that the losses will be even. Along the same lines, Duarte has no way to measure the effects of his attack. The null beasts retaliate, which he assumes means he hurt them, but it is equally possible that he just annoyed them. I smash bugs even when they don't bite me, and the more noise they make, the more likely I am to notice them. So Duarte is using faulty parameters to begin with, and then cannot measure them. Then, of course, he's assuming that the null beasts have a concept of the prisoner's dilemma and will therefore respond in ways he can predict. Moreover, he's expecting them to use the most effective strategy in the game, which seems to be respond in kind each round with the occasional round of forgiveness, so that everyone doesn't get locked in trading betrayals. But really the biggest problem with Duarte's dumbass game theory is that he's misunderstood their standing. He deliberately triggers the gates so they'll eat a ship, and sends through what is basically a bomb. Almost immediately after, another ship goes missing in the rings. Duarte, or really the military officer overseeing his plan, seems to think that the null beasts have been attacking while humans have been peaceful. They get 3 points, we get 0. The bomb is a shift in strategy. The null beasts attack, as do the humans, we each get 1 point. Again, he's assuming that the null beasts can recognize this as a prisoner's dilemma and see that they are better off cooperating. Thus, he expects them to do so, but they don't. He takes this as them being unreasonable and makes plans to escalate. It's worth noting that there isn't escalation in the dilemma. The fact that either side can escalate and that both sides do should be a solid indicator that his framework doesn't work. Not that it really matters, because there is a much bigger problem. Duarte has failed to consider why the null beasts attacked to begin with. His initial assertion, again, was that they attacked while he was peaceful. However, it is entirely possible that every ship through the gate is perceived as an attack, and that ships disappearing is, essentially, the null beasts deciding they'd better spend a round returning in kind. So, even assuming that the prisoner's dilemma was a reasonable framework for the situation at hand, a hell of an assumption to be sure, he doesn't even recognize when the iterations are happening and the choices he is making in them. It's just so fucking annoying. It drove me completely insane every time it came up, and it came up a lot. And yet, I loved this book. That's all I have to say about Tiamat's Wrath. If you like this video, I hope you'll watch more in the future. Thanks for watching this one. Bye!